Well, hello, and welcome to the first episode of something a little bit experimental for me. It's called, what are we going to call it? We're going to call it What Else Is New. So this is a little look into what I am doing on a semi-regular, everyday, daily basis. A little bit too much of anyways. So I'm trying out some new software, and we're going to try some video capture and show you some things on my laptop, some things I've browsed, some videos I've watched, that type of thing. From the week. So here we are, and I guess we're recording now over here. So we'll go like this, and we will take a little look.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. President Biden's facing calls to grant clemency to the jailed Native American leader Leonard Peltier. He spent nearly half a century in prison for a crime he says he did not commit.
I believe him.
Leonard Peltier recently turned 80 years old. He's always maintained his innocence over the 1975 killing of two FBI agents in a shootout on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. His supporters say his conviction was riddled with irregularities and prosecutorial misconduct. In a moment, we'll speak to the head of Amnesty International USA. But first, I want to turn to a video Amnesty produced about Peltier's case that's narrated by the actor Peter Coyote.
I am everyone who ever died without a voice, or a prayer, or a hope, or a chance.
Okay, I'm going to leave a link for that. Leonard Peltier, he should be getting out of jail. He should be getting out of jail. For sure. Next, we're going to go over to Scott Ritter and Sabby Sabs. This is from a day ago, titled Scott Ritter, We Pushed Russia into a Corner. So this is some pretty serious stuff.
Vladimir Putin has issued a statement earlier before I went live. He spoke, and to make a long story short, I was not going to play that whole speech here, but he said that he wants peace, but that he does consider this to be an escalation from the West. What happens from here? Because I get the impression from his speech, he does not want World War III. But I also got the impression that if he were to sit back and just allow this to continue and happen, then it would make him look like a pushover. What do you think happens from here?
Well, we all die. I'm not being facetious right now. I've never been more afraid of the imminent nuclear war than I am right now. We have pushed Russia into a corner. Russia has responded using a weapon of unprecedented strength.
She's taking it well.
This variant of the Rubyaj RS-26 missile that was used. Again, as a missile, Putin's speech.
We're going to show you a little bit of that speech
I would
and a little bit of that
ask
missile.
people to listen to it, even if you don't read Russian or understand Russian.
We'll skip out of this
Look
one.
in his eyes.
Yes, wait until you see it.
Watch him as he
Look
speaks.
in his eyes.
And understand he is.
Okay, we will put a pause on that. We'll go into this next segment.
Here's the thing. Right after, because Vladimir Putin just signed off on a new nuclear doctrine for Russia that basically lowers the threshold for Russian use of nuclear weapons to about zero. Meaning all the stuff we're doing right now, could Russia, he said, under our doctrine, I could use nuclear weapons right now. I could use them right now. How did the United States respond to this? Rear Admiral Buchanan of the United States Strategic Command, they're the ones who control all our nuclear weapons, came out and said, that's okay. We're not afraid of his nuclear doctrine because we're ready to have a nuclear exchange with Russia. And we think we're going to win. And we'll retain enough nuclear weapons so that after we have our little nuclear exchange with Russia, we can still have nuclear deterrence. How about, you guys do know what a nuclear exchange means, right? Everybody understands that. It means a war where nuclear weapons are exploded on each other's territories. He is saying that the Biden administration has made a decision that it's okay to enter a nuclear war with Russia because we think we're going to win. I'm telling you right now, we would lose 100 million people plus in a limited nuclear exchange with Russia.
This is insane.
One, thank you. It's insane, totally insane. But where's the press? Where's everybody?
Exactly. Where is the press? Where is everybody? Have any of you been getting any of this information on your mainstream or alternative news streams? Anybody fans of Sabrina Salvati, Sabby Sabs? I like her. She's really good. She's not, she's, I guess, independent for an American. She's not damn, kind of anti-democrat, but she's also not right-wing. And Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter's excellent. He's a former UN weapons inspector. He helped some of these, he goes into it in this interview, I think, with Sabby, how he helped with some of the disarmament agreements between the Soviet Union and the US. He was also, I think, a weapons inspector in Iraq way back. Anyways, he knows his stuff, and it's always interesting to see him show up on the internet and talk about what's happening. Recently, I think in his own life, he was raided by the FBI and had all his stuff in his house, all his communication stuff, his laptops, and all his hard drives and everything confiscated. I think his passport was seized this year as well, en route to Russia to do some speaking, and he's basically under the watch, which I guess that makes me under the watch, and puts you under the watch. And we'll get to a little bit of that later. But first, here's Scott doing a little bit of organizing, I think.
We can save our lives. That's what I'm asking you guys to do. Give a damn about your lives. If you care, if you're parents that have little kids, say no to nuclear war.
Just say no.
If you're single and you think you want to get married and start a family, say no to nuclear war.
Just say no.
If you're single and you don't want to get married and have a family, but you like your dogs, say no to nuclear war. If you're a human with empathy, say no to nuclear war.
Just say no.
We have to say no to nuclear war. And there is no tomorrow. I'm telling you right now.
Listen to this guy.
Yep.
We're going to war with Russia and we're all going to die. We have idiots in the Strategic Command who think it's okay to have an exchange, a nuclear exchange. He just condemned 1/3 of Americans to die. He just condemned them, saying it's okay. And he wouldn't have said it if the Biden administration didn't think we have to put the American people on notice that we might have this little nuclear exchange with the Russians. Guys, it's nuclear war. Nobody survives it. There's a book written by Annie Jacobson called Nuclear War. It's fiction, but she interviewed dozens of former officials who
to get into
the war
that,
planning.
it's good to know what's coming or what might be coming. This is a fairly long clip from Sabby Sabs. Again, it's from one day ago, called "We Pushed Russia into a Corner" with Scott Ritter. I like Sabby. She's fun. Now here we found Scott Ritter. He's on... I don't really watch this guy. He seems a little far right. Judge Andrew Napolitano. But anyways, I gave it a little scan just to see what Scott Ritter might have to say, and we'll see where we pick up here.
For hours, but that was always premised on his ability to threaten Vladimir Putin. And then he walked away from it. He said all the magic words about, I don't want a nuclear war would end everything, da, da, da. Well, if you don't want a nuclear war, then why are you letting Sebastian Gorka speak like that? Why are you letting your national security advisor speak like that? Why aren't you stepping up right now
Trump,
and slowing down the insane rush towards nuclear war that the Biden administration is doing? The American people voted on November 5th to put a president in office who said he will get out of Ukraine and he won't promote a nuclear war with Russia. And now we have a sitting president who's doing just that in disregard to the American people. Why isn't the person the American people selected stepping up and saying, stop? That's not what the American people want, and then tell the world that's not what we're going to do. But instead, he sends his national security advisor out who says it's exactly what we're going to do. He lied to the American people.
Wow.
He lied to us.
Here is
he's not having any of that.
President Putin on Friday
this is interesting.
Afternoon.
Putin's speech that Ritter was talking about earlier.
And calmly
holy yeah, like look at his face.
Explaining the Oreshnik missile system. Cut number 1.
The Oreshnik missile system isn't simply an efficient hypersonic weapon system. Thanks to its power, particularly in the case of its massive use in combination with other precision long-range weapons that Russia has, the results of its use against enemy targets would be comparable in effect, and its power to strategic weapons.
I think he means nuclear.
Although, in fact, the Oreshnik system is not a strategic weapon. In any case, it is not an intercontinental ballistic missile. No one in the world has such weapons yet, as we know, as you know.
Look at him.
Sooner or later, other leading countries will also get them.
It's called an arms race.
We are aware that they are already under development. But this will not happen tomorrow, or in a year, or even 2 years.
At any
While we
rate,
have this system
you
now,
get the gist.
I will add that there are no means
They
of
got new
counteracting such a
weapons.
missile. No means of intercepting it. In the world today, they don't exist. And I will emphasize once again, we will continue testing the latest system. Considering the special strength of this weapon, its power, it will be put into service in the strategic missile forces.
Okay, so he's basically saying, we've got this new system. These are these hypersonic missiles, I guess. They've used them, and they will continue to use them. There's no defense against them. They could be armed with conventional or nuclear weapons. Scott Ritter's crapping his pants about these. Let's see, fitted with conventional or nuclear. And we're going to see a clip here come up. Another guy that I hadn't seen before. Okay, so we'll put a pause on this guy. This guy, he just showed up in my feed today as I was putting together a bunch of these clips. Oh, let's go into full screen instead. I'll take a little quick look. These are what we're going to see off the start. These are apparently these new hypersonic missiles hitting their targets a few days ago. Reminds me of War of the Worlds.
Now I'm scared, and this time it's for real, because this is changing everything. The 20th of November 2024, a few days ago, there has been a missile attack on Ukrainian factory PA Pivdenmash, previously known as Yuzmash, already been attacked in the past, and this attack has been a complex operation. The Russians launched 6 Kh-101 cruise missiles, 1 Kinzhal missile, and something new. In fact, at 5:17, this happened. Just after the attack, rumors started to bounce around on the internet. Ukrainian claimed it was an ICBM. Then the Pentagon said that it was actually an intermediate-range ballistic missile. But everything was clarified by a TV message from Putin in which he explained that this was a new system, a new intermediate-range ballistic missiles that had never been used before. And luckily he clearly specified that was armed with multiple conventional warheads. And having an intermediate-range ballistic missile arm.
So the way I understand it, these warheads, it's like one missile, then each missile has 6 warheads that can come out on it at the same time.
And, with conventional warheads, it's new in itself.
Deadly. Okay, so we're going to move on to this crazy little story. Okay, I'll let it speak for itself.
Pokemon Go is using your phone's camera to build a CIA-backed 3D map artificial intelligence engine.
Color me shocked.
If that's not a load of buzzwords from the most ridiculous plot of the most ridiculous spy thriller movie ever, I don't know what is. That sounds crazy. That sounds like a weird conspiracy theory fever dream. But it's actually a real thing, and it's really, really happening, and I kind of told everyone that it was happening back in 2016. And I'm not even joking on this. They are bragging about it. Niantic Labs, the company behind Pokemon Go, has released a new blog post on November 12th, just 1 week ago,
Here it is.
bragging about how they are collecting millions and millions and millions of photos from everyone playing it in order to create this 3D AI system that sounds like a dystopian nightmare. Just to give you a little background on this. Back in 2016, I wrote an article talking about the connections between Pokemon Go, the NSA, and the CIA. And I pointed out to everybody that Pokemon Go really existed because of a direct investment by the CIA. Yes,
Okay, well, so who knew, right? I didn't catch that story back in 2016. I'm also a little bit surprised Pokemon Go's been around for 8 coming on 9 years. Oh my god, that's kind of crazy. So as I was putting this little bit of stuff together today, this is another new thing that came across my YouTube feed, and I thought I would share you a little bit.
Hey, I'm Molly Thomas. Welcome to the first episode of Big If True, a show that asks what's real and what's not.
Sounds good. Snappy. Professionally put together by the looks of it. I mean, for our first episode, kicks the ass out of my first episode. Am I right? Okay, let's see what they got.
Our show dives into everything from misinformation and disinformation, hoaxes to conspiracy theories, just trying to wade through the flood of falsehoods out
Nice
there.
pivot.
And there's a lot. We are inundated with information.
Cool studio.
Get this. Each and every minute, 3.5 billion snaps are created. 625 million videos are viewed on TikTok. 44 million people watch Facebook live streams. And more than 16 million text messages are sent. That's every 60 seconds.
Are you kidding me?
So it's no surprise that not all of that information can be trusted, but we are here to get you through it, and we are not doing it alone. We have a team of experts across Canada and around the world helping us navigate that.
So across Canada and the world, I have to assume that this is a Canadian production. They're doing pretty good, almost 1,000 subs for their first video right out of the gate. They got 1,500 views. It's called Big If True. We're going to be keeping an eye on them. Now, regarding information and manipulation, I guess we're going to talk about mind control. This is from Rob Braxman. He usually talks about tech. He's pretty prolific, pretty famous on the YouTube. He's got 500,000 plus subscribers. This is from a week ago with 74,000 views. But we're just going to give a little listen what he has to say about mind control.
What I'm explaining here are the specific tools of manipulation, which is like a volume control knob. The first is the application of suppression. In a dictatorship, this is just the shutting down of opposition media. In the social media world, this can be done either by not recommending a video, demonetizing it so it is not worth promoting, or making sure the creator is financially hit so there's a pain point for not staying on the prescribed lane. Suppression, of course, impacts viewers directly because an important point of view is hidden, and thus it is made to make that point of view lose significance.
And it also works really well because what you don't know that you don't know. So if you haven't even seen something, like some of the stuff that come across as fresh content today for me, or a lot of this stuff might even be completely fresh for you, if you didn't know that this stuff existed, you wouldn't know that it was an issue to even think about or do something about. So suppression is very key. It works well. And let's carry on.
Censored social media sites with a focus on only one political side results in an echo chamber where everyone thinks the same. But this same environment allows the application of another tool. The other side of manipulation is amplification, an artificial method used to amplify a message so you suddenly think it is organic. I gave the example of the real thing that Google does, which is to alter the...
So, I'm sure we've all experienced that. Horrible, awful stuff that we don't like seems to be very popular. It's showing up in our feed all the time. Thousands of followers and views and subscribers and friends, and it doesn't make sense. It's like, how can something like this be so awful and be so popular, yet we've got artists and political activists and everyday people out there that are struggling to try and find an audience for their content, which it might not be the best in the world, but come on, it's not terrible either. So why? Some stuff's amplified, some stuff's suppressed. I'm just realizing those little segments that I do when I pause, I should look over on this camera. Okay, let's get back to it.
Search results so that the first page results are actually curated to fit your particular profile. This is the intent of the specific Google project, which I can't name, the moon something or rather. This particular project dealt with search redirection, which is the official project purpose, redirection to alternate search results. The intent of this is amplification. An alternate message is placed on the first page of results, which then amplifies the importance of the message.
We're going to go away from him for a minute. Got a few more things to cover. Oh, this was excellent. Oh my goodness. Do you all know Bad Faith with, Brianna? There she is. Brianna, I can't remember her full name. At any rate, she brings on Whitney Webb, absolute genius of an investigative reporter, often loved with a lot of the crypto types and some of the right wingers. She's come out with some stuff that really goes after the deep state, but she's also very adamantly nonpartisan. So sometimes some of her stuff, it seems like, oh yeah, that's bait for the right, or that really fits for the left. It's actually not. She's just doing investigative reporting, and she gets into some real messy stuff. As you can see, she gets into the Epstein stuff, Israel's grip on American politics, etc. This was an extremely excellent podcast, hour and a half in length. You're going to find tons of clips of it on the internet if you follow Bad Faith, or if you have any Whitney Webb stuff in your algorithm. I've just picked out a tiny little clip where Brianna makes an excellent comment about Whitney's recall and encourages her to get into podcasting herself. So give a little listen.
So, these are networks that, a lot of these oligarchs have relationships with intelligence agencies or foreign governments, and have relationships with unsavory banks, and are able to operate, above the purview of the law. And I think that's, a big reason why people like Epstein were allowed to operate with impunity for some time, and why a lot of these people, as billionaires, don't really have their business interests properly scrutinized when maybe it should be,
Okay, first of all, you have incredible recall, like Max Blumenthal levels of recall. I'm incredibly impressed by it. Two, I actually think you would do, for what it's worth, very well on a platform like Rumble, and Rumble would really benefit from hearing your perspective, because there's a real appetite, I think, for people who are knowledgeable about these issue areas. And I think sometimes the interest in the issue area is confused with an attraction to a perspective within that issue area. That would benefit from you, whatever you choose to do going forward.
Yeah, I think she should also get into doing that. But you will see a lot of her stuff just gets excerpted and put onto millions and millions of channels. Anyways, I recommend both these women to follow and listen to. Brianna's extremely smart, super bright, and as well as Whitney. Okay, so here's my friends in the recent COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Herb, he's actually, none of these guys are my friends. I don't know either of them. But when I say friends, what I mean is the Climate Emergency Forum, the channel that this is on. I've done some work creating some shorts for them, and I hope to get back into that. But this is just a tiny little clip of a short video they did a week or so ago out of Azerbaijan, and this features Herb Simmons. So we're just going to give a quick little listen to this.
With you and with everyone else in Baku, which is, I don't know if you've found this so far, but I find it an extraordinary city, vital and intense, with poverty and wealth and everything in between, and lots of oil fumes as its history as the premier oil center of the world many, many decades ago. And of course, that's one of the ironies of being here at COP, that we're surrounded by oil money and oil power, as we're all attempting as best as we can to figure out how to phase out oil and gas and other fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
And
so yeah, as we try and phase out fossil fuels, I don't think that was even on anybody's agenda for this COP29. What they were trying to do is to secure adaptation and mitigation financing target for the developing world. I think the ask, they were trying to get to $1 or $2 trillion. The talks almost fell apart. And then at the end of the day, I think what was agreed to was a paltry $300 billion a year by 2035 or something like that. A small amount of money is not going to make hardly a dent. And probably most of that's going to end up getting wasted or otherwise grifted and corruptly put into somebody's pockets. Okay, so back to here. We've got, on climate change, we'll just keep the theme. This is Daniel Swain, scientist, climate scientist, and he's just going to give us a little bit of a breakdown on how things are interconnected. I can't remember, what was the name of this video that it was from? It's not, oh yes, here it is, Climate Extremes at the Abyss. I recommend checking that out. I'm going to leave links down below for all this stuff. So this was clipped from that documentary, and I really liked it because of the, not only the just spot on excellent climate science and really in-depth coverage, very easy to understand, but I love the set designs and the tiny little touches like that. It looks very, very nice. So
everything is connected, right? The oceans are connected to the atmosphere, is connected to the land surface, is connected to the sea ice, is connected to the land ice. You can't really change one part of the system without also changing most of the other parts of the system.
Yeah, you could imagine that as something like a domino effect. So for instance, if the Greenland ice sheet starts to melt, that puts salt-free fresh water into the ocean, and the ocean currents actually function by a distinct difference between salt and non-salty water, therefore meaning if you have salt-free freshwater coming into the North Atlantic, that would slow down Atlantic Ocean currents such as the Gulf Stream, and by that prohibiting that warm waters from the Gulf of Mexico is transported further north, even north of Greenland. So that actually means that there is, on the first-hand side, a direct impact through these
So they're talking about the Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation, which has been in the news quite a lot with regards to it already being slowed down and set to possibly shut down altogether. So some of you might remember The Day After Tomorrow as a Hollywood film. That was called The Day After Tomorrow, when New York freezes over because the AMOC shuts down and the Northern Hemisphere goes into an instant deep freeze. None of the scientists that I've seen or read or studied are supporting such a hypothesis as was put forward in that film. However, it is almost as bad when that happens, when that AMOC shuts down. We are going to see a disruption to the entire Earth's climate system, much more so than what we're already seeing. Okay, my last little clip, which I thought was interesting, is a piece, is Paul Ehrlich. He wrote a book called, I believe, The Population Bomb, way back 1970, 72, something like that. It came out it was near the beginning of the environmental movement, the now modern environmental movement, and essentially it was critiquing how it's the population that's the problem, and it's going to explode and it's going to do us all in. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case in the timelines that he imagined, but that's all beside the point. I just thought it was interesting to learn that this guy's still alive, like 50 years later. So he's 92, and here he is being interviewed by somebody I've never seen before.
Turned 92 years old. I don't get a chance to talk to people who've had so much life experience as you. So before we delve into Extinctions and your new book, just give us a sense of, what you've lived through, and if you are feeling optimistic or still pessimistic or maybe neutral or waiting to see. What is your sense of how things are going?
I like to think of myself as objective as possible, knowing full well, and I've actually worked in some of these areas, that scientists always bring to their work their personalities, their background, their prejudices, the prejudices of their society, and so on. I think the main thing that separates scientists from most other scholars is that they always insist on their work being reviewed by other scientists, and we set up the system pretty much so other scientists can make points by showing other scientists are wrong.
Well, that's pretty good. Science. Anyways, Paul Ehrlich, if you're interested, he's on the YouTube channel called Skeptic. Might show up back again, and we'll get another look at this Michael Shermer dude. Never heard of him? we'll see where we go from there. And we're getting down near the end. That's the end of my YouTube videos. I wanted to show you this lovely little piece that I found on the new Blue Sky Network. This is from Crime Think. And it's called 6 Months in a Neoliberal Dystopia, Social Cannibalism versus Mutual Aid and Resistance in Argentina. Now it's essentially giving a recap from the last 6 months or so of Argentina since they elected, what's that guy's name, Milei? I don't know, he's, what do they call him, like an anarcho-libertarian? I don't know, some kind of banana BS title. He's basically some kind of neoliberal fascist or crazy guy. At any rate, what I've highlighted here, within 6 months of the capitalist fantasy economy meeting the real world, the consequences are that in Argentina, many people are going without their medicine and skipping meals on a regular basis. In a country that is known as the wheat field of the world, a loaf of bread costs the same as it does in Paris. In a country where average wages are a tenth of what they are in Europe, a cup of coffee costs as much in Buenos Aires as it does in Madrid. In a country that processes its own oil and has a public oil company, fuel now costs what it does in the United States. Argentina now has both the highest cost of living in Latin America and the lowest minimum wage. So it's not working out great for them down in Argentina. And I keep meaning to read this entire article, but holy cow, it's really long. It's really long. I will keep going through it to check out all the lovely photographs. Like the photography in this is top shelf. At any rate, I seriously recommend both that website there and the lovely new Blue Sky platform where I was reacquainted with it. Okay, going over to my email, this is a lovely little edition that comes out once a week from my dear friend Angela Bischoff, and it's the Greenspiration News and Events. I encourage everybody to find that, subscribe, and in your email box you're going to get a fantastic weekly summary, all kinds of different news items and events and actions to take care of. It's easy to scroll through, it's very interactive, there's a lot of excellent things on there, and a couple of little great links at the bottom as well. So, email, make sure you subscribe and give your email to those people you want to keep in touch with, because this will often, it'll get posted on the social medias, but they're such dicks that something that's time specific, like news and events, like this is what's happening this week, we've got events that you might want to take part in, but someplace like Facebook, it'll show this like a week later. Bloody useless. Okay, so during the day I always have Windy open as well, and this gives me an opportunity to see what the temperature looks like and what it feels like and what it actually is. I can check rain or snow and how things are going. I don't know why. Oh, that was rain accumulation. Here's rain and snow and thunder. There's the snow. There's the rain. There's some swirling weather systems and stuff. Go to the meteorological report. I follow Joey Only on YouTube and all the platforms to get your weather. I'm just showing you this as a fun little map that one can use to learn about the weather and watch the systems and follow all kinds of different things. You got radar, satellite, thunderstorms, particulate matter. You can look at the clouds. You can open up a larger menu, and boy, you can check the UV index if you want. All the different cloud types. You can check out for weather warnings. You can check the fire danger. Yay, no fire danger for us. Okay, and that is that. And then lastly, I just want to show you, I have Twitter. I like Twitter because, unlike everyone else, I don't know, I hope I don't jinx it, but my Twitter feed, I scroll through this, there's no ads. I don't get a single ad. I'm not a verified dude. I haven't done anything special with it. I just don't get any ads. Once in a while, they might show up in the replies, but hardly ever. And I've been very, very good at blocking out all the undesirables. So I'll get stuff that'll show up, and somebody will like a post, or so say like this. So somebody liked to reply, and I'll go through each one, and I'll kind of give a look at it and be like, does this person look like a real person? I don't know, Gertrude's stomach with a little leaf, with no posts, 4 followers, following 167. Looks a little sussy, but I'm gonna leave it for now. If it was really sussy, I'm just gonna hit block. Julie Katyak, also from January. Well, at least she's posting some stuff. That's always fun. Anyways, whatever. You guys all got Twitter. You know how it works. And we all have Facebook. Nothing. I hate fucking Facebook and all the stupid ads. And just all my friends are there. But it's nice. And then the lovely little blue sky. Oh, speaking of Joey Only. There he is doing some shit posts. Talking about stuff. And then we got weather that we follow on there. We got a lot of really great stuff. Oh, here is Joey Only talking about the podcast tomorrow night, which is cool, and he's always looking for people to make submissions, and you might know that I've made a submission or two here and there. Let's see what Frankie's got to say.
Nova Scotia. I'm down on Service Street. I'm located on Service Street right now. Things are great so far. I'm doing really well these days. It's me, Frankie Down. I'm showing everyone you guys the Service Street and City right now. Things going well on my side. City Nova Scotia.
Frankie McDonald, he's crushing it. On Blue Sky, I'm connecting with a lot of excellent accounts. Haymarket Books, a lot of anarchists, a lot of community organizing. I went into a little bit of a rabbit hole on mutual aid. I'm just finding it very, very easy to get around on the old Blue Sky, finding people, and it doesn't seem so toxic yet. A couple of bad accounts that I had to get rid of. We've got a lot of great starter packs. So this one, it's kind of right up my alley. Climate collapse and doom and post-doom and such. So what I'll do is I find a cool pack and I'll follow one from that pack, and then it'll come around again and I'll follow another one. So as you see, I'm following a few people from this pack as it's come around, and natural allies. Oh, look at that. I got put on the Doomer pack. That's funny. Anyways, we'll see. Oh, Mr. Professor Elliot Jacobson. Well, that's very cool, because I asked him earlier about the decay of methane into CO2 in the atmosphere and what kind of a negligible effect that might have. And he said very roughly that methane has a half-life of 110 months, and about 150 parts per billion of methane decays each year creates about 0.15 part per million of CO2, or about 4% of the new CO2 added each year. Methane decaying into water vapor is negligible as a source for water vapor, he says. So of all the methane that's going into the atmosphere as well from natural gas, the melting permafrost, cows farting, etc., as that methane decays into carbon dioxide and water, the carbon dioxide from that decaying methane is equivalent to 4% of all the new CO2 that goes up into the atmosphere every year. Anyways, and he made a little comment on there, and there's that. And then, well, that's the end of my thing. So here we are, my experimental little video, taking a walk through my YouTube viewing for the last few days and some of the interesting little websites and things that I find on the day-to-day. So thanks for watching. Hope you get something out of that. Check the links, send suggestions, find me somehow and give me money. Is that how it works? I don't know. At any rate, cheerio.